Hey, hey, folks, we are live. John, can you figure out how to turn off that music? There we
You
go.
got it. There we go.
Hey, we are live. First time that I've figured out my DSLR, so I guess I need to look that way at it. But I'm so excited to be here with you all. It's 2024, it's January 3rd. And so I thought, what better way to kick off this year than to actually get the person that created the platform here with us? That's Justin. He's here and talk to you guys about like the founding story, how Content at Scale was created. If you're new to that, let us know, by the way, in the comments. If you're new to Content at Scale and Content Hacker, drop that in the comments. We'd love to know. And if you've been here before, if you've been here for a while, let us know as well. And we'll kind of customize the conversation around what you want to know because it's a new year. We got new things on the horizon, new things coming up, new ideas, amazing new features. And of course, V3 just launched, a couple months ago? So it's kind of crazy to be talking about new things already, but such is AI. So here we are with Justin and John as well, our head of success. I'd like to just give you both a minute to say hello to our community. I'm glad you're here. Justin, I'll pass it to you.
All right. Hey, everyone. How's it going? Glad you could make it. Obviously, a busy week, I'm sure, for most of you trying to get caught up after the holidays. I know it's been a little hectic on our side, so appreciate you tuning in.
John?
Yeah, I'm John, head of customer success. I've been here the entire year of 2023 and now starting 2024. I'm very interested in hearing how everyone uses the tool to make it better.
Nice, nice. Awesome. Well, I think where we can start, we got some viewers on YouTube and LinkedIn, where we can start, because those people may not know too much about how Content at Scale came to be. I know the story. It's pretty cool. John does too. But Justin, would you tell us a little bit about how you invented this whole thing, how you built it? Tell us about that story.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess it goes back to when I first started as an entrepreneur, right? I mean, I had a marketing agency in 2008, and kind of by 2009, 2010, you realize that SEO is sure there's a lot of one-off technical stuff, but by and large, it's all centered around content. And that was always the thing you were trying to scale, and it was the hardest thing to scale because you just didn't have automated means to do so. And so you play around with different spinners and stuff back in the day that never work and just output garbage. But this concept has been around for a while, right? And so you fast forward several years, and I wanted to do something. So Jasper Jarvis at the time came out and kind of were like the first to do this whole AI writing thing, at least that caught mainstream. And I just felt like just around that same time that a lot of those users I felt like were probably bloggers and wanted an easier option even than what was out at the time. And I know for me, I just wanted to put in a keyword I wanted to rank for and have the AI put together all of the content for me, do all the research, make it optimized, right? That whole thing. And so that's what we set out to build. And the thought was, even if no one buys this, right? This is something I would use for my own ventures or whatever. And I would just spin up content sites and, do that. Right. But, right away, we started with a done for you service. So that was to kind of test things. I'm not a fan of the VC model, so I didn't want to necessarily go and raise funds. I just wanted to bootstrap this. And to do that, I started with a service, again, almost like another agency, which I did not want to do long-term necessarily, having already done an agency in the past. But, I wanted to prove the model, help it fund development, help it fund hires and everything else. And so that's what we did. It did not output near where we needed it to. And so luckily we had a lot of writers. I think we hired 40 some writers at one point. And so we were producing the content manually in a way that was just not very scalable. And so we had to pause billing and everything and go back to the drawing board. And luckily, we got to a point where, we got the content stuff figured out, and we launched this in September, and we were the first long form SEO writer on the market. And so we were able to get positioned pretty well early on. We had a lot of people out promoting us and stuff as well, which certainly helped. And yeah, we were off to the races after that. I mean, a couple of months later, one of the biggest objections that we had was people that were concerned that Google might be able to detect their content as AI. And so we kind of built upon an existing framework for AI detection. And we're the first, well, I don't know if we were actually the first on the AI detection, but we were definitely the first to be able to produce undetectable AI content. And so we rolled out the detector, and that's become a whole product in itself. But yeah, I mean, that's the backstory. It's been off to the races ever since. Obviously, Julia, you joined last January. Coming up on a year. We're probably,
Yeah,
what are we, like 12 days away from like a
yeah,
1 year
we
anniversary?
are. Yeah, it's
John,
the
obviously,
12th.
yeah, right around the same time. So, um, yeah. Anyways, that's kind of been the backstory there.
Amazing. Well, thanks for sharing that. I love that story and how it came to be. And for me last year, pretty much ragging on every AI tool was for the reasons you said. It couldn't produce number one, original, number two, research backed, and number three, undetectable. So it's very clear when ChatGPT writes something, it's got the word unlock in it a million times. You don't even need a watermark on that stuff. Like, ChatGPT wrote it. So content scale is different because of that. Jackie's here watching. I actually, I'm going to take a minute. I'm going to pause because I owe Jackie an email. I was in the middle of writing it to her. She was asking about the offer that ends today at 6 p.m., which, if you haven't heard about it, it's called Start 2024 Right. I love a good pun. So that's where that came from. And it's I think it's actually $700 off a combined amazing group of offerings. So it's your Content Hacker Live tickets. And John, if you want to drop the link in the comments to Start 2024 Right, if you don't have it, I can grab it. So it's Content Hacker Live tickets. If you can't make it, it's the replay of the entire event produced like a course afterwards. It's the AIO blogger course. Jackie, that was your question. Yes, that's included. And we actually ship you the swag bag to you at your address if you can't make it at the event. So Start 2024 Right. And John, there's actually a special link that's hidden that we don't have. So I'm going to send that to you here in the PMs on StreamYard, and then you can drop that out there in the comments. So there we go. I just sent it to you, John. So that's the link. It's a hidden link. We're not really putting this out there. So if you're seeing this, that ends today. That's $700 off Content Hacker Live and 20% in additional free everything to Content at Scale. And we ship you your bag if you can't make it. And we get you the course recordings. And you get in the AIO Blogger course. And by the way, there's also 6 months of Content Hacker community for free. That's like, I hope it is something like the Hormozy style Grand Slam offer. So you need to get in that because it ends today at 6 p.m. But that was for you as well, Jackie, because you were asking if that's included. The answer is yes. Much like Oprah, everything is included in this offer. So there you go. All right. So commercial break aside, let's get back into the conversation. So the other points that I wanted to cover, because we got Justin here, and let me tell you, that's pretty rare because you are supposed to be in R&D. So I'm sorry, I pulled you out of your building hermit hole, but it's great to have you here. So while we have you, can you tell us a little bit about the roadmap ahead for 2024? I don't know how much you can share, but anything you want to hint at or talk about would be awesome, because I know we have so many amazing things really on the horizon.
Yeah, we've got a pretty killer roadmap. Well, I'll talk about some things coming up fairly quickly that we're dealing with right now, which is through a couple of acquisitions. And through those acquisitions, there's going to be like some more like front end tools, I'll say, that are on the front end site, similar to like our AI detector, but different types of tools. And through that process, we're actually going to be overhauling our editor and sidebar experience to make that more unifying. And there's going to be some really cool things that we're going to build off of that. But in the more immediate future, just like bringing Amy, our AI chat, like more to the forefront. It's going to be more intelligent as far as like knowing where you're at in the process as well, right? So like if you're done producing the content's all written, what are you going to do with that next, right? You might want to schedule that. to your site, or you might want to schedule some social media posts or something like that, right? So it'll be intuitive enough to know like the next step in the process, basically. So those are some things that we're working on. We'll be releasing an API as well. So that is underway, and that's pretty exciting. We've got some big potential customers there that have a lot of interest in us releasing that. So aside from that, we have a pretty like groundbreaking technology that we're in the mix of here that's kind of coming out of this R&D phase. And then essentially, I'll say like the depth of the content is going to be pretty wild. Like essentially every blog post that we create, for example, is going to have its own like model and database. Like the amount of research that is going to be going into every single blog post already, it like factors in all the top ranking content, right? But this is going to go to a whole new level, and the linking and everything is going to be pretty awesome. It's going to be talking, you know, depending on obviously your topic, but you know, there could be social media content pulled into this. And anyways, it's going to be awesome. And it's going to be so much deeper than what any writer ever does, right? When they're writing a blog post. So that'll be pretty cool. So those are some big initiatives that we're working on and now actually. So I can touch on those. We obviously have a much bigger, longer roadmap, but those are the ones that are kind of on the immediate horizon. And from that, like some of this tech that we built, we're gonna be launching like a new product even. And with that, we're opening up an office here in Phoenix. And you know, a lot of people on the team now are gonna move. We'll kind of be a hybrid type company, but we have several members moving here to kind of work on this new product as well. So we're dealing with, you know, looking at office spaces and trying to get all that figured out, which is certainly taking up some mental headspace. But, you know, I think it'll be worth it getting, especially the team we have, obviously, just a lot of A players on this team, and getting them in the same room, which we've seen happen, right? When we just last month, we all were there in Austin together. We've been at a retreat in San Diego when we launched version 3, right? So there's definitely a lot of power that comes from being in person, and you know, a lot of the team is excited about that. So that is what we've got going on.
Amazing. I can't believe you dropped that news about the office. I wasn't sure. That's pretty
it's a big step, right? I mean, it's something that I think ultimately will allow us to even ship things faster. You know, there's gonna be a lot more collaboration. Right now, we've been obviously fully remote, but we do fly in and meet up probably once a quarter. But you know, like look at what happens in those few days we're together, the decisions and the movement that happens from that. You know, we'll be able to kind of do that every day. So I'm a fan of both models. I'm not somebody that's like hardcore in office or hardcore remote. I think both sides have pros and cons, but in this case, with something that we're working on that could be pretty big, I think, you know, us all being together gives it the best chance, you know? So yeah, that's, you know, this is all Q1 stuff, right? So, you know, that's kind of beyond that. Who knows? Priorities change, and this space moves so fast anyway. But, you know, that's, you asked me what's coming up next. So that's on the horizon there.
Yes. Well, I'll be leaving Texas to go to Arizona. So I'm very torn. I'm going to miss Texas, but I'm really excited. I mean, just to have a headquarters for all of us, like you said, getting together in person. John, you were there with us in San Diego. We had another meetup in Austin that was smaller. Every time we get together in person, it feels like just like time shrinks and we get so much thought accomplished in like a matter of an hour. So that's what I'm like really excited for. I think there's nothing quite like that. So
well, what's cool too is we're all like product nerdy, right? In that sense. And so, you know, the discussions we want to be talking about are product related or marketing related, or, you know, and it shapes the future, right? So to be able to do those more frequently, I think will be be beneficial for sure. John's already here, right? He's in Chandler. So,
Yep.
yeah, I think it makes sense. I'm excited, but there's a lot of work that goes into that.
Yes. Farnaz said the answer to moving or purging. So I did a story on my Instagram. I did it for 2 weeks in a row and I had people vote, do you think I'm moving or purging? And I just took pictures of all the bags. Cause when you move, like you have bags and bags of stuff that you didn't realize you ever had. And so everyone voted purging. And then the second time around, everyone voted moving because I wasn't giving the answer. I guess you're finding out now because I haven't actually confirmed that. So there you go. I am moving to Arizona. So I wanted to share, there's a topic that's been going around. It's probably the talk of AI when it comes to AI specifically in the workplace, which is, of course, like one of the biggest conversations. How is AI going to affect what we do? How many people will it replace? And those kinds of conversations that are a little bit tricky to talk about, we could say, if not a little scary for some people, especially those who are more generalized. Maybe they haven't niched down yet. And they're like, am I susceptible? Is my job at risk? So if you haven't heard, IBM did a study Q4 of last year. Can't believe we're saying last year, but such is time. As of 2023, Q4, IBM, World Bank, OpenAI did all these labor studies, and they found that 1.4 billion people, which is 40% of the entire workforce, is going to have to reskill in the next 3 years. I thought this was going to say 5 years when I opened it. No, it's actually 3 years. And then if you study per location, it gets even crazier. It's something like 70% of all of the workers in India specifically are up for either reskilling or replacement. So if you look at this per country, it gets even wilder. But Justin, I'd love to pull you back up and talk a little bit about that topic, because I know you have some really interesting visionary thoughts around the future of work as it comes to how AI is going to affect that. But just speak to that, if you would, for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, without going into too much detail, I mean, that is part of why we're all getting together, right? I mean, we're working on something as well that kind of goes in line with that and where this is going. And I think you talk about 40% of the workforce. I think you look 10 years ahead. I think it's probably double that.
Yeah.
I think the ones that are safer right now are like the manual labor stuff, right? Plumbers and things of that nature. But eventually, right, I mean, you're going to have robots and things that can just, do it more efficiently. And I don't doubt all of that's coming. And so, it is definitely a time to look at how you use AI, right, to your advantage and understand too. Like, I mean, we can get, if we want to really go out into the future, right, get all utopian and, how amazing and all this, right. But, and I say that because it's like, well, if AI is doing all the work for you, like, you can do other things with your life, right? Like now there's like, how does the money transfer and all of that get worked out? And that all remains to be seen. But I think, as things progress forward, as quantum computing becomes a real thing, AI is just going to get more and more powerful and I think do more and more things. And so if you're not taking advantage of what's there now and yet at the same time interested in what's coming next, I think you're going to miss out. I mean, we're at a multi-trillion dollar type opportunity and it is the absolute wild west of this stuff. I mean, you've shared some numbers before as far as like the actual percentage of people that even know what ChatGPT is. Everyone on this call or, in this attending this whole live session, right, knows. But there's a lot of people that are not as familiar. I mean, I was out talking with commercial real estate brokers, right? Looking at different offices and they're like, what is this whole AI thing? Right? Like, what do I need to know? How do I take advantage of it? Right? Like, so they might've heard of AI, right? But they're not really doing anything about it just yet. But I think, especially in a few years time, I mean, you're just not going to have any option but to realize this. Right. And if you're fighting against it, I mean, it's just like, it's gonna be a tough road for you, right? I mean, you're fighting a losing battle. Like this stuff, people were against like typewriters because it took away the human connection, and you know what I mean. Like all this, every time, it's just a losing battle against technology. So you've got to understand where this is going and try to learn as much as you can and be able to capitalize off of it. I mean, the people listening to this are fellow entrepreneurs too, right? And people that are trying to get the most out of life. And it's gonna be those that take advantage early that are able to do that. So yeah, anyways, we've got some big plans there. Obviously content at scale and what we plan next in terms of like streamlining your marketing, but even like with a new product that we're working on that goes beyond that even, I'll say. But yeah, it's inevitable. I think the data supports it. You just got to dive in, right? I mean, it's one of those things too, where it's not just like, oh yeah, I've got to learn AI. Like the only real way you're going to learn AI is like getting into it and actually using it, right? Like that's the best way. Look, like spending time looking at YouTube videos and different tutorials. And I mean, I know we produce a lot of videos on it as well, but consuming that type of content, I think is going to be what sets you apart and allows you to, gain those skills a little faster. So yeah, that would be my, my suggestion. I don't know if you want me to, go into any other detail there, but I think it's inevitable. I'll say that.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I changed my LinkedIn headline, which I do like too many times. I changed it last night to Adapt or Die. It's that serious. Because I agree. I think we're there. It's kind of like when the internet came around. I think this is probably bigger, would you say? Potentially bigger than the internet.
Well, I think because it'll even go beyond that, right? I mean, it's going to just impact everything. I hear it like compared to the iPhone and, I think it's there, right? I mean, as far as like just the number of people that are going to be impacted by this, it's going to be everybody ultimately, but, it's going to take some time to get that far widespread, I think. But the rate at which this whole space moves is unbelievable. And I think one of our first conversations, I mean, I've been saying Adapt or Die for over a year now. I mean, like one of our first conversations was around that. Like people that are not doing this are just going to get left behind. That's the bottom line. You've got to be looking at all these different AI tools and APIs and all of this to try and get, the absolute most out of it. But where it's going next is even crazier. I mean, you're talking about artificial general intelligence, right? And like actually just doing stuff and, it's going to be at a whole other level. And so, just preparing as much as you can for that. And then I think it even takes another level, the quantum computing stage and what's happening in that space. So there's a lot of advancements all happening kind of at the same time. It's pretty wild. And you can see it though. I mean, it's impacting us, I mean, you can't even visit a website or you can't go a day without interacting with AI in some way, shape or form. It's already like that now. Right. So it's just going to become more and more obvious. You're going to see wearables, right, become more of a thing. I saw something with glasses recently where, you have the glasses on and you've got like heads up displays in them, right, showing you like what you're seeing and giving you real-time information. That's pretty cool stuff, right, that's coming. I mean, soon I could see people just walking around in headsets, right? Like it's going to be wild.
Yeah, that is. It's interesting because I feel like some of this is pushing that human touch forward even more. So it's interesting to see like there's so much AI. It's going to become like the best thing we've ever used because it will free up so much time. And so that almost allows us to do more things like this, real conversations and just connection. And that goes so far in business. So I want to switch over to education. And let me actually scroll up to the top of this article. There was an article on Forbes that came out around 3 or 4 weeks ago. And there was a study done on only 500 educators. It's not a lot, but at least it's a sample size on US-based practicing educators and how they use AI in the classroom. And it was really interesting. 60% of these educators are actually using AI in the classroom. And I've talked to some educators, professors right here in Austin, which Austin just launched. I think it's one of the first cities to launch a degree around artificial intelligence. So now you can actually get a degree in AI. I don't know how much that will help you. I'm not saying to do that, but there's a college here that does that now. So it's interesting to see what professors are doing. One of the UT professors here in Austin actually gives their students a challenge to try to break ChatGPT and see in what kind of ways they can crack it, essentially. And that is such a good way to get you critically thinking. But Justin, you and your team, our team, built one of the first AI detectors out there. It's one of the top 5 in Google, Consonant Scales AI detector. And we get what you were telling me, 10 million scans a month, something like that.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I mean, scans, we're going to be close to about 1 million uniques a month, visits wise. But, that's the thing. I mean, I think there's a lot in education that needs to be improved. And I think AI will absolutely help make things a little more uniform. It's pretty cool. Like I was working on some complex, Excel formulas the other day. And, I went to ChatGPT. It was like, here's what I'm trying to do with this column from this column, but only do it if this or that. Right. And it walks me through all of the logic and then just gave me the actual formula to use, but it actually talks through, right? Like how to actually do this and why, like what part of it's doing what. And so, you're learning too, right? Just that way. And it was pretty cool. So I think there's a way where, like AI is going to absolutely impact the teaching aspect. I think the education system needs to change. Okay. There's too much reliance on when you have a really good teacher. Unfortunately, that's not most. And so, you're like a lot of different kids are at a disservice, right? When they don't have a teacher that cares and is passionate and has a great way of delivering the education. And I think AI can help standardize it, right, in a way that's beneficial for everyone. But what we see is a lot of students are given assignments to write essays, and then they go use our detector, see if it's going to pass AI detection. But then we have teachers using it, right, to evaluate if students used AI or not, right? And so, what really matters here, right? I mean, you're the kids at the end of the day need to actually know how to use these AI systems, because that's where the careers are going, right?
Yeah.
You're going to need this in work. And so then we're telling them not to use it. It's like the calculator, right? Back in the day, you can't use a calculator. It's like, if the kid knows how to input the actual formula into it, that's what matters, right? So what are we fighting here? It's ridiculous. But you've got AI writing the papers and you have AI grading the papers in some cases. And so what are we really doing? I mean, what matters, right, is the comprehension of it all. And so that's where I think it matters in terms of how the teaching is done. I think the most important thing is not that the AI wrote this essay; it's do the kids understand it? So evaluating and grading based off of their comprehension, I think, is more important than the words written in the document, right? So, anyways, that's gonna all be massively impacted by AI for sure, and it needs to, because we need a better way. My daughter's 8, and I know her teacher next year is actually a phenomenal teacher, because ironically she had her as a kindergartner, and we had transferred her to this school, and she went from not reading anything to reading full books at a second grade level by the time she graduated, or from kindergarten, within 3 months with this teacher, right? It was pretty impressive. Now the next few years after that, right, haven't been as smooth, but we're sticking it out because that teacher moved to 4th grade. And so, but that's the game that's being played right now, is you've got to switch schools, or try to find the right style of teaching, which is not the same for everyone, but teachers are not going to change their ways, right? They're set in how they teach, regardless of who the kids are and how the kids learn. So they're not going to change. It's up to the kids to have to change, right? And that's just, it's not fair. I mean, I was somebody that hated school, absolutely hated it. If I could get a C, I was ecstatic, right? Because I just, especially high school. I mean, I had my parents convinced that my mom and my grandmother, at least, that my school's attendance system just didn't operate correctly. And so they just ignored all of the attendance calls. I ditched half the time, honestly. I mean, it's just, I hated school with a passion. I just wanted nothing to do with it. I'm also not a believer in, like, you talk about the AI degree, like at tax. I mean, it's cool, right? There's advancements, but unless you're going for health or something that like you need it, that's the only time, right? That, like, I don't even look at degrees when people apply for jobs with us and stuff. It's just not important. Like, I want to see usage, right? How do you use these different AI tools? Not, you got a degree and so, like, we're at the forefront of this stuff. I don't even know what they would put a degree around. Like, that just sounds like total BS and a marketing ploy, to be honest with you. Look how advanced we are. We have an AI degree.
It's a solution for the university, not a solution for the student.
Totally.
Yeah. And to your point, Justin, I feel like it's not the teacher, it's also how archaic our system is. Like, I've really changed. It hasn't changed in how many years? And
100 years.
We're far behind.
Yeah. I mean, and the way the education system was created was around, the 9 to 5 and people clocking in and be on time, right? Face forward, right? Follow the rules, leave, at the end of your shift type thing. Right. And so, that just has not changed. It's funny. My son's in college now, ironically. And, he was like showing this picture of kids back in like the 40s and, they're all just like at their desk facing forward, and a picture of today. And it's like literally the same thing. The entire world has changed. Right. But like the education system is still literally exactly the same. And, I think we're doing a disservice there for sure. So, I'm someone that's pro AI, obviously. Right. But I think there's, a big change that's going to be coming to the education field around this too.
Yes. And I think we'll be a part of it. It's interesting because you have the tech, and I was working on a brand before we partnered up last year called Creator Kids. And I had so many parents interested in that, people ready to fly from out of town because they were like, we need a solution, a way to teach our kids from entrepreneurs. And to your point of, getting C's and D's, I don't know if you ever heard this, but it said that the C student employs the A student. Have you heard that? Like, all through history, when you look at entrepreneurs, that's often true. I wrote a book called Skip the Degree. It was my 6th book. And I sat down and I interviewed close to 50 entrepreneurs, and 9 out of 10 of those people, same thing. They were a C student. And like, these people, some of them had 1,000 people on their team. So it's pretty crazy when you look at that. And that's why, like, when it comes to my daughter, I don't even look at her report cards. Instead, like, we're talking every day about, do you understand this concept of life? What are your questions? Like, it's more about the critical thinking elements for sure than it is the grade. But that's not traditional. Traditionally, we're taught, look at the report card, look at the grade. So it's really interesting to have these kind of conversations. And, you're building a solution really that a lot, like, I see it every day, individuals with EDU email addresses are signing up to use this solution because AI is really a shortcut now to all these tedious things, not just in life, but in school, that, we could question, did we need to do this anyway? I don't know. So it's interesting to see, like, the path we're going to be able to take, just being able to answer some of these problems in the education industry, because I know that's near and dear to my heart. It has been for years. So to be able to create solutions for this, I think is just a cool little perk of being in all this with you. So I'm really excited to be able to do that. John, 100% no.
I took a poll here with our audience just now, and 100% of us said no. There were 2 who took the poll, so 2 of 2 said no. But to their point, I mean, predicting where these A students would be. Oh, the question was is using AI cheating?
Okay.
It's on the screen.
And 100% answered no, it is not cheating. And predicting where these A students will be, where these C students will be, grades, I don't know if that's a predictor, but like, what is a predictor is people who leverage what's given to them will come out on top, like, every time. Player piano, typewriter, AI, every technology, those who leverage it will come out on top no matter what.
So better leverage it. Short answer.
That's what I was saying earlier. It's like I don't care if you got an AI degree. I want to see you use it, right? Like, how do you use it? You know, show me some things you've done with it. You know, what are like different prompts you've put together? What are the different projects you've completed using AI, and how did that turn out, right? Like, that to me is way more valuable than some piece of paper that I don't even know what they would even be trying to teach necessarily.
You're
You know,
right.
like,
That's such a marketing play for the college.
oh, it's total marketing play.
That's a good point. It's interesting though, because this speaks to how fast AI is moving. Because I remember, I want to say, yeah, it was last January. Time moving so fast, I get mixed up. Last January when I started here, I remember listening into the education industry, reading all the Forbes headlines, like seeing what was being said, and it was like over and over again, the professor was coming down on that student for using ChatGPT. I can tell you, I don't see that anymore. I can scour Forbes right now. Nope. In fact, like that data I just shared, 60% of educators in a 500-person study of educators in the US are now actually using it in their classroom. So it's just interesting to me. I mean, I've been in business.
Well, here's what's crazy. My son had a professor, and he told him, he told the class, he goes, so he lengthened the paper that had to be turned in. It was like it was going to be like a 3-page paper, and now it's a 10-page paper or something like that. Maybe even a 15-page paper. And the reason for going longer is you guys are just going to use ChatGPT anyway. That was his, and I'm like, that's just what? So, hey, what about the people that you've told not to use it that haven't been? You're just like punishing them. Like, it just makes no sense. This is the stuff I'm talking about. Like, you know, there's too much free reign on how teachers interact in the classroom with this stuff, and not just this, but just in general how they teach. And you know, it's definitely a problem. I mean, that just absolutely makes zero sense. To, you know, what's the difference of 3 and 15 pages if AI is doing it anyway, right? Like, now what are you going to do? You're going to grade 15 pages? No, you're going to use AI to go grade it. You know what I mean? Like, you're sitting here saying I can't use it. You know, it's just like,
and to catch them using it, the professors and stuff, they're using AI. I mean, I've seen this.
Oh,
they're using AI to catch students using AI. Wow.
Right.
And then what are you going to do? Because there was a student that tried to sue the college last February. Well, actually, the professor kicked the student out, completely out of the college, like couldn't even walk back on the campus. The student was kicked out because they used ChatGPT. That student sued. They won. That was February. I've never seen a headline again say professor kicks student out of classroom. There was a precedent set when that student won, and this was Berkeley. So, you know, it made the news. So it's just interesting. There's either a mindset of like giving up, like you said, John, okay, or you were saying, Justin, or it's like, hey, let's be innovative. Let's think of creative ways you can use AI to get ahead. Because to the point of, you know, what does school train us to do? It could be argued that 99% of those jobs that the Industrial Revolution trained us to do through the system of education, all that's susceptible to being replaced by AI. I mean, if AI can sit here and do everything better than us, the employer is definitely going to choose AI. It's just a matter of time. So I think we have to do it differently.
Google's in the process of laying off like 30,000 people.
Yeah, 30,000. Yeah.
That just came out last week. So it's like, I mean, it's definitely one of those things where, you know, so often you just get the job done better, right? More efficiently. I was talking to a lawyer, actually, so he's a friend, but we were talking actually this past weekend, and you know, he's had paralegals and, you know, everything, and he's more traditional, so he's not kind of up to speed, I'll say, on some of the AI things. And he's like, but well, you know, lawyers get in trouble if they're using ChatGPT. I'm like, yeah, if you're using it blindly, right? But I go, you're sitting here paying all these paralegals. Like, what if you just uploaded all your case material and said, okay, this is who I'm defending, this is the stance, like, build my arguments for me, right? Like, and he was like, oh wow, yeah, actually that'd be awesome, you know. So like, he just hadn't thought about like how to use it in that way, right? But yeah, I mean, I just, and, you know, that's a profession I think that is at is in danger, is legal too, right? I mean, you're charging so much money.
Yeah.
No one wants to deal with lawyers, right? And so AI can pretty much create all the documents you need anyway. You can ask it legal questions. You can frame it like, here's everything I know about this situation. What do you suggest? Right. Like, it's going to be something that's impacted as well, as all professions are, right? Ultimately at the end of the day. So, it's how you take advantage of this stuff. How do you multiply yourself? Right? How do you clone yourself? How many times have you said that, like working, right? I know I've said it, Julia, you said it, like, oh, if I could just clone myself, right? Like, what if you could? You know what I mean? Like, and this is how you can. I mean, it's pretty crazy to think about, but yeah. Anyways, I mean, obviously I can talk a lot about that, but I don't know if there's other topics or things you want to dive into, or
Well, and it's also not only about like duplicating yourself, but like you effectively can now with considering AI is a force multiplier. And I've said this before internally. It's like, I mean, if you're a 1 and you're multiplying by 2, you're still going to get 2. But if you're a 2, now you get 4 and so on. So if you make yourself better, if you upskill you, then you will be able to expedite, increase who you are using AI. So it's not just about AI, but like how you use it is just as impactful as what you're using.
yeah, that's a great point.
That is a 1 times 1 is 1.
Yeah, still
You're not wrong there.
Still gonna be a 1. Yeah.
Well, we're getting close to wrapping. I know we got a bunch of people watching, so if you have any questions, I told Justin I'd only ask him to come on once a year. This is your chance to ask some questions. Yeah, what Farnaz said, AI being friend or enemy is just a choice. Leverage it or it will dominate your role. Yeah, very true. I like what she brought up earlier too from Google's announcement that not all use of automation is spam. So Google definitely backtracked, but that's where they're landing on as of this, last year. It's not that automation is bad, it's how you're producing it. So it's, is this research back? Like, is this original? Check. Consonant scale does all that. Shameless plug.
That's a full 180 Google's done, right? I mean, so they were anti this, to begin with. And I think they realized, there's a lot of crappy writers that produce a lot of crappy content. Let me know. I'm telling you, I've hired a lot of them, it seems like. And it's a profession where kind of like teaching, like we talked about, right? I mean, there's good writers and there's definitely a lot of bad writers. I mentioned earlier, we hired 40 writers. 4 of them made the cut, right? I mean, we're literally talking about 10% of the writers we hired were actually good enough to even produce decent content. So that's the bar. And that means it's pretty easy for AI to overcome it. It's just funny too, because I've seen like comments on different tools and they're, just haters, right? Like, stop being lazy and write it yourself. And then like there's 2 grammar errors in that comment, right? It's just like, this is exactly why, like you can't even write 1 sentence without it, being butchered. I mean, so, Google recognized it, right? They likely saw that, the quality of our results is actually a little higher, right? And so, I think that says something in itself, and obviously it's only going to get better too. I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, these bad writers don't just get better, right? Like, unfortunately, they just don't. I mean, they reach a plateau, and that's where they're at. I mean, I've seen it time and again. I mean, I'm not saying that to be rude or anything. That is the bottom line. And absolutely, can you find great writers? Definitely. Right. But those are very expensive. And luckily Julia's not for hire anymore. So there's that. Right. So, I mean, you don't have many options. I mean, so anyways, it was interesting to see Google's like total about face, and obviously, they're knee deep in the AI game at this point, but
they didn't look too great with Gemini. I saw that and I just wanted to fire whoever put that together.
So I had seen this stuff coming out. Oh my gosh, wait till Gemini comes out. This is like
Right?
10 times
Yep.
better than GPT-4 the whole
Yep.
time. And I've said this internally. I'll believe it when I see it, guys. Like there's no way. I mean, I've tested their API early, and I mean, like it was a big step back. Now, having said that, that was early on. It is definitely a progress over Bard, but they're trying to like get to the level of GPT-4 where like GPT-4 is already working on GPT-5. You know what I'm saying? Like so, your baseline was not GPT-4. It shouldn't have been GPT-4. It should have been like what GPT-4 is working on next. Now, having said that, I do think Google's probably going to end up ahead at the end of the day because OpenAI had a massive head start on all of this, and look at how quickly Google has closed that gap. I mean, yes, GPT-4, I would still prefer that over Gemini for like content production stuff, but there are things that Gemini is doing as equally well, if not slightly better, right? But it's certainly hard to tell which of the two. And so that's pretty impressive, and that happened all within a year's time. So I don't, I think the pace at which Google's on, it's kind of like a sprinter, right? Like just waiting for that last lap to go all out. Like I feel like Google's catching up here pretty quick. So we'll see. Obviously, I think there's some things that OpenAI is working on that are going to be pretty crazy, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's true. I think I feel like it's an arms race, right? It's like Microsoft is behind OpenAI. And so here's Microsoft and Google all over again, but in a completely new type of arm race. I mean, this is like
AWS invested, heavily invested into Anthropic, right? I mean, so all the big tech companies are going to be owning this space as well. There's no doubt. But just like everything else, I mean, there's still, trillions of dollars of opportunity here for people that are taking advantage of this stuff. So getting in early, right? We're still early days, even though it seems like everyone's using AI. We're still very much in the early phases, and I think that's these big tech companies help like make this more mainstream too. I mean, that's the other thing. So it becomes more and more acceptable and widespread when they're out there backing it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. We got some good comments here. John is all over the answers, which is super helpful. Somebody is asking, well, they're talking about how overwhelmed they feel. They got the AO blogger, which is helping, but they're nervous about joining Content at Scale. They don't feel they're knowledgeable enough to use. Let me just say, like, this is my kind of person because I love feeling knowledgeable about the tools that I invest in before, or at least as I'm investing in them so I can make the most use of them. Justin, as the creator of this tool, what would you tell this person? Because I think that's a good thought from them.
I'm trying to find this. So is it the one that's highlighted here?
Yeah, so I just put it up on screen. Yep, from somebody.
Oh, sorry. Okay, cool.
193 AMM.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's the core concept of Content at Scale was built with like, I want to rank for this keyword. Let me put that in and click a button and I get an article. I mean, it literally could not be more simple than that. Like that is like, if that's all you wanted to do, like you could absolutely do that. Come back in 5-7 minutes or whatever. And you've got your article ready to go. Copy that, put it in your website back in. All right. Now beyond that, there's a lot more going on. I mean, you can do keyword research in here. We do like clustering to pull in multiple keywords around given topics. You can, create like topic reports. And I don't know if you're like trying to do that for clients or anything, but if it's just for yourself, like I wouldn't even honestly do that. Like, I think you can just like start pumping out the content. Put in a keyword. It's going to run natural language processing. It's going to identify all the keywords that are most relevant to the topic. It's going to attempt to address the intent of that keyword first. Right? Like it's all optimized. It does all of the things for you. Right? So you can literally just go in, say, I want to rank for this keyword, click a button and you're done. I mean, so it can be as easy as you want it to be at the end of the day. That was the whole point of it. So, and then you can go a lot deeper. There's natural language processing stuff going on to identify like how Google's viewing your content. You know, you can certainly go a lot deeper, right? But my whole philosophy, even with product in general, is like simple first, right? But have depth. So like, how do we take the most simple version and roll that out, but then have like sub options and things for people that want to go like deeper into stuff. And so that is like a core belief that I have in terms of like product and whatnot. So, you know, it's absolutely, it can be very streamlined. And listen, John, you know, John's put together just an amazing knowledge base too, that goes into a lot of detail, a lot of videos and everything else. But yeah, there's nothing to be scared of. I saw the comment. I'm scared, right? There's nothing to be scared of, I guess, is the bigger point.
Yeah. I think that the first step of jumping in the community, if you feel that way, if you don't just want to jump in and get started, I know like all three of us are probably that way. We just jump in, get going, get it done, move on. And you can do that with content scale. Like, I'm not saying it's not that simple. It really is. You set up a project, you hit write post, and you can literally generate something that, you know, rivals something I would write in 5 minutes. That's unbelievable. So the fact you can do that in minutes is just unreal. And I was sharing that on the screen here a minute ago. But, you know, if you're still like, well, if the bigger question is, what do I do with this content, which we have a lot of users that are there, then you should join the community, the Content Hacker community and the AIO Blogger course, because that will actually get you the knowledge behind why does this traffic help me build a business? Why do I need organic traffic? Where is that going to go? What am I going to sell? How do I switch into that mindset? Because it takes a whole mindset shift plus the skills. So all that's in the Content Hacker community and the AIO Blogger, which shameless plug. Let's put the banner back up on the screen, John. But there's an amazing deal happening, and it ends at 6 p.m. today, where you can get, don't confuse them, John, that's your wrong link. But you can get $700 off. There it is. Content Hacker Live tickets. That's March 12th and 13th of this year. You'll be right here with 15 other amazing speakers in my used to be hometown of Austin, Texas. Moving to Scottsdale, Arizona to start an office, which will be really amazing. But I'm coming back to Austin for this event. And it's right in the middle of the AI track at South by Southwest, which if you haven't been to South by, that's an experience all on its own. There are entire companies like production companies, media companies, for example, AMC, they'll take over an entire house here in Austin and they'll repaint the house, refurnish the house, and they'll deck it out for their brand. And there was one year, I think it was 2 years ago, that AMC took over not one building, but a whole street of houses, and they turned it into a Walking Dead set. And they actually had like living zombies and the characters there, like the characters from the show, the actors and actresses. It was just amazing. So that you're in the middle of that. South by Southwest, one of the biggest events in America. 30,000 people come in just for that. So we're 2 days, 12th and 13th, and we have 15 speakers. One is a billionaire, Elena Cardone, and we have one of YouTube's most followed AI futurists, Matt Wolf. So you'll be with those people plus 12 other people who are practitioners. So I picked a mix of people that will both inspire you and actually give you the skills you need, because inspiration is one thing, skill is another. You need both to succeed. That's what Content Hacker Live is all about. And one of our speakers, a practitioner, she just landed a 6-figure contract consulting a major company on building out their AI arm. And she's going to include content at scale in that. And so like she's hip on the AI technologies they need. But I'll tell you, 6 months ago, she was just an agency owner. She didn't even know what AI was. So you can get, like, this is what you can do today. It's incredible. So if you're a business owner, a marketer, an entrepreneur, you need to be at Content Hacker Live, because those are the people that will be there. They will show you how to do this thing, and it's going to be amazing. So at 6 p.m. tonight, this $700 off those tickets, that ends. And with that deal, you also get the AIO Blogger course for free, 6 months of Content Hacker community for free. And if you can't make the event, we're going to record the whole thing, turn it into a course, and give you that as well. So shameless Oprah plug over. I think that we can go ahead and wrap.
We went to Austin, right? I mean, that was the whole point initially, was to check out this venue, start to like really think through the space. I mean, it is a cool space. It's right there in the heart of Austin, and
Yes.
you know, it's gonna be pretty cool. I'm excited for it.
Yes, and we're selling tickets like crazy. I haven't checked, but I know we sold like at least a dozen today. So not just tickets are going, but I'll tell you, if you're coming in from out of town, you want to stay here, you probably need to get your tickets like yesterday. So I'm now advising people to think about Ubering in and stay in Round Rock or Cedar Park, just because you'll deal with so much less traffic. And it's pretty simple and easy to stay in either of those towns, so Round Rock or Cedar Park, if you can't find accommodations in Austin, because that is booking up. But I'll tell you, it's worth it. Like, just to be here and be around these people and to be in the middle of this, the things that I think you will take from Content Hacker Live that will dramatically impact your business and what you can do, just the opportunities, you got to be here. So that ends tonight at 6 p.m. And the link for that is right here on the screen. Check that out. Be there if you can. Would love to see you in person at our event. But I think we can go ahead and wrap, and we covered like every topic, which was really cool. We didn't have a lot of questions, and this is the only time you'll see Justin until January 3rd of 2024. So question time is over. You missed it.
Took it easy. I like it.
This was a lot of fun. Thanks for being here, everyone watching in the comments and live on LinkedIn, YouTube, the community. We really appreciate you all. I mean, you guys are the reason, we get excited and we get to build cool stuff, because we know that you're putting it to good use. So I hope to see you at our event. And John, maybe you can shout out your email for that person that wants a, I don't know what to call you. You're just 193JMM. Any last words?
There we go.
Adapt or die. Keep it easy.
We need a mic to drop. Good stuff. All right, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Hope to see you in the community. See you around. Bye.
Bye-bye.